Hi there, this is Mike Clayson and my friend Walter Von Hune. And we're here today to talk a little bit about friendship. We've talked about it before, but I don't know, this is a different aspect of it. We've only known each other for a little over a year, but we've become, I think, during that period of time, good friends, as opposed to, an acquaintance or just someone that we talk to. And that's interested both of us, because it's so easy to meet people and to make acquaintance with people, but then to have it evolve into something that's more meaningful and more satisfying and more fulfilling in your life is difficult, and it happens organically, and we're not sure why. So we were talking about that, and we thought, well, let's make a video about it. So what do you think, Walter?
I think, you can talk about, I have an acquaintance, or I have a friend, or very few people, excuse me, are close friends. I think to have a close friend is opening up, and you and your friend opening up to each other and really talking about things and not judging, because judgment will kill a friendship. If you judge your friend about what he's done or what he's gonna do, that's their business. And whatever it is, I think a close friend is somebody that we should all have. I think that, like you said, we grew up in the same area, didn't know each other at all. We're, a few years apart there in age. And
Many years apart.
many years, 30.
Yeah.
You do look a little older. But it doesn't matter. When we became friends, I got to know Michael, and it wasn't that I tried to make friends with him. That's the other thing. It wasn't like, ooh, I got to have a friend, I got to meet somebody. And it's like, hey, I like this guy. And we got to know each other over time. It didn't happen overnight. And we started talking about things. And you opened up and you started saying, yeah, even though we have differences, it's not like we have the same beliefs. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, it's kind of it's a strange process, because when you meet somebody and you start to talk to them, it's usually in the context of either a business or a personal relationship. Met someone at a meeting or a party or just in a neighborhood, and you're talking about the events of the day, or you're talking about the issues that are germane to why you got together in the first place, and then from that discussion evolves. You start to sense that, well, this guy maybe has something to say that might be more interesting on some other stuff. So then you ask them a few questions to see what they have to say, and then if they are interesting, they might ask you questions, and then pretty soon a conversation evolves and develops, and it's all just kind of hit and miss, because you don't know this person very long, and in one sense, I'm on the lookout for cues that give me an idea about whether I want to keep talking to this person or I want to get away from them. And at the same time, I'm also interested in learning new things about people and learning about new people. So,
What are the cues?
well, I think you want people, when you're talking to them, that you're asking them about themselves. You want them to be reciprocal. You want to listen for them to ask about you.
That's true.
But you don't want them to come across as some kind of obsessive either. So it's a fine line. But I think that there's a give and take, and there's a sort of a testing. You say something that maybe has a slight bit of an edge to it in terms of controversy, maybe a political thing or something you read in the paper, but you deflect by saying, I read this, instead of saying, I think this. And then you listen back for a reaction. You watch how they react and what they say, and how they respond, and then it just kind of goes from back and forth, and then you just kind of move around in different subjects and talk about different things, and and see if you're getting that. You're still getting that energy from them, from that other person. I think.
I think some of it has to do with attitude and also chemistry for that matter. With attitude, if I see somebody and they are some cocky individual or they are so full of themselves, I don't want to be friends with them because their focus is me, 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 and and that's it. I want to have somebody that I can actually talk to and discuss things with differences. And the other thing is chemistry. It's like, with girls that I used to date before I was married, some chemistry just didn't work. It was awkward. It was weird. And other girls became not lovers or anything, but good friends that we could just talk. And I so enjoyed being with them. And the other thing I wanted to ask you was, you and Cindy, your wife, you go out with other couples.
Yeah.
Are there times, which has happened with Kimberly and I, that you go out with a couple, either Kimberly loves the lady and they talk, I am with the guy and it's like pulling teeth, or vice versa?
Yeah, that's true. It's, I mean, the reality is that, or at least in my experience, has been that my wife leads the way on social occasions. I mean, if she's getting along with the women she's talking to, then that's going to be fine. It's going to be good. And then it's up to me then to talk to the guys that are around to find out what's happening with them and whether. But the opposite is not true. So if I'm friends with some guy, and my wife doesn't like the woman that he's hanging out with, that relationship's never going to go anywhere.
Really? So that would ruin your friendship with the guy?
Well, it would just never get started. Not really.
Okay.
Yeah. Or if it did, it would be a kind of a niche relationship where the other guy and I would get together to do a particular thing, like like play a sport or ride motorcycles or something like that. But it wouldn't be
the couples.
It wouldn't be a couples thing, right?
Right.
Whereas if my wife got along with the woman, I would go out to dinner and have a social, go to social things with the other couple, even though I wasn't really, making a good connection with the guy, because we just talk about banalities and let the women talk about what they want to talk about.
Right. So basically, you wouldn't then have a friendship at all.
No, wouldn't be
it
a
would
friendship.
just be your wife who just has that great friendship with the other person.
Right. And I would say that the majority of our social relationships are like that, where it's not that I don't like the men, I just don't have a lot in common, but more importantly, I can't seem to connect with them in a way that makes it interesting to talk to them. A lot of times the guys that I hang out with that are associated with my wife's girlfriends they're single dimensional. They not very interested in the world. They have one or two focuses that they kind of think about and obsess over, whether it's a hobby or whatever it is that they've got. But it's that one thing that they like to talk about. And also a lot of the guys are still obsessed with their past careers. That's what they want to talk to you about, is the job they used to do, or how important they were.
Right.
Or how much money they made. And that's one of the things about living where we live, is none of that really matters at all. It doesn't matter. No one cares. I mean, no one. We have people. I met people in this community that one person used to be an astronaut, believe it or not. I mean, lots of doctors, scientists, really successful business people, but it doesn't. None of it matters because none of it's relevant. None of it applies. None of it helps. You can't build your house any bigger. I mean, you could buy a really nice car, but why? Why would you do that?
Right, but that has nothing to do with what we're talking about here, which is the friendship.
I got off on a tangent.
You
right.
got off on a
I
tangent,
did,
but that's why I'm here as your friend to tell you.
Bring me back in, bring me back around. Yeah. So to get back to my point is that I talk to a lot of guys in social relationships, but very few of them are friends
Right.
that I would go out and hang out with together as guys, and we go out and do something.
Well, throughout life, we're now, we're old. We're in our 70s. Anyway, throughout life, I have had, I don't know about you, but I have had friendships, close friendships when I was growing up and very little.
Yeah.
I had these great, great friends. And then when I turned about 12, I had other friends, and those friends kind of disappeared,
Yeah.
or I knew them, but it wasn't like I was friends with them anymore.
Yeah.
Even though I considered them, hey, how you doing, Mark? Good to see you. Then I had other friends, and as I moved on in college, and all those high school people kind of faded in the background, and I had my college friends. Then you move on in life, and I had other friends, but from those college days, there are still, I would say, 2 or 3 really good friends that I don't see, but I'm in contact with. One of my best friends is named, strangely enough, Mike, and the other one is named Mike. And now you are named Michael. So that must mean something in my life, because up here, being here, I have good friends, but I don't consider too many close friends. You, I consider a close friend. And the reason I say that is because we can talk about anything, and we have talked about subjects and things that I would never, ever say to anyone, because we trust each other, and maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah, I agree with that. The trust is earned, and and if you share something, if we share something, I don't expect it to go anyplace.
Right.
And I'm sure that's the same with you. So that's very important.
Yeah.
But it's funny how we go out with people, and some people we're just kind of going through the motions because they don't want to sit at home at night. Maybe they've invited us out to dinner at some restaurant, and so we're just kind of sitting there in a restaurant eating food that we could probably make better at home, and trying to make conversation.
Well, that's like,
and that is hard. It's just so hard.
If you're trying to make conversation and you're thinking of things, what can we talk about? What can I say here to keep the evening going?
Yeah.
That's not going to be a friendship.
No, and it brings out all my bad instincts too, because then I think, well, maybe I'll just get controversial.
Well, here's the other question for you too, and this is interesting, I think, is if you're an introvert or an extrovert, does that affect a friendship? And I have an opinion on that. I want to hear yours.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think introverts are harder because they are more self-contained, whereas extroverts are always looking for validation and external acknowledgement. So
well, no, I don't think that's an extrovert. Because I consider myself an extrovert.
Yeah, but you're out there looking for approval, aren't you? I mean, you want
no,
people
I'm
to
not
like
looking for approval, because I'm self-confident enough not to look for
Okay.
approval. But I am out there always, as Kimberly has said to me, he says, if we go to a party, because she's an introvert, if we go to a party, you shine. You love it, being
true.
there with all the people
That's
and
true.
talking.
Right.
It's harder for her
Sure.
being an introvert.
Right.
So with friendship, strangely enough, my friend from before was an introvert. For sure, he was an introvert. I'm an extrovert, and we became extremely close friends.
Yeah.
And so I think that has something to do with it too. But maybe 2 extroverts don't become friends. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I consider myself an introvert.
Yeah.
My wife is an extrovert. You can put her in a room full of people she doesn't know, and she'll know all of them by the end of the evening, and all of their animals, all of their animals.
I think
Whereas
that,
me, I don't, I won't, and I don't care to.
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. But I think having a close friend is important.
Yeah.
And I think because you talk and you're able to open up about yourself, or they're able to open up to you.
Right.
And besides your spouse, or if you're not married to whoever, it's an important aspect of life. And it gives you that camaraderie, that conversation, that feeling that somebody is listening to you.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you.
Okay, so just to sum it up then, so we're saying that first of all, we want people, if you're looking for friendship, you're looking for people who are willing to share, open up, and that are trustworthy, so that your secrets and that you're sharing and that your vulnerability stays with them. It doesn't go anyplace else.
Yes, but I think you said one thing wrong there. I said if you're looking for friendship. I don't think you can look for friendship.
Good point.
Friendships happen.
Okay.
And
I agree
we
with that.
happened by happenstance. Just, we happened to live in the same area and got to know each other. And I think that it's great. I am so happy that I met Michael and that we became friends, because we can talk about things.
Same here, Walter.
So anyway, to
See you later.
friendship.